Hey, Chuck Carroll here. I wanted to put up the audio of the interview I did with Jeff Hardy for CBS recently because this was easily one of my favorite interviews ever. I've done just dozens of interviews with wrestlers over the years, and this one, hands down, is probably my favorite because he was so open and honest about everything, the state of TNA, what he's worried about as far as concussions, and how that inspired him to write a song on his new album, Spawn of Me. Now, I will tell you that I'm a guy that's worked in radio for more than a decade now, and I actually got my start on the music side of things, and I was just engrossed in music, got the opportunity to listen to a ton of it and meet a lot of interesting people. And I'm not kidding you when I tell you that this album, Spawn of Me, is seriously really, really good. Like, it's what should be on rock radio these days instead of this homogenized crap that you hear when you turn it on. It's a really cool album, and the inspirations behind it are just tremendous. So Jeff and I talk a lot about that. We also talk about the current state of TNA, and a whole lot of things moving forward. Plus, get some interesting scoop on Apocalypto and Total Nonstop Deletion. That's coming up. And very interesting about what he said about that. And he let me in on a couple surprises, a little bit of a spoiler for you for that coming up on TNA. So this is the interview. It's about a half an hour long. Jump around if you will, but I really think it's worth your time. Download this thing, bring it with you, listen to it as a podcast, because if you're a wrestling fan, you're going to appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit about this new album that you're putting out. Now, I got a chance to preview some tracks, and to me, it sounded like there was a little bit of a 90s rock kind of influence in there, maybe early 2000s. What were the influences going into Spawn of Me?
I'm really not sure. I'm just a huge alternative rock fan, but I also love country music. I grew up around it. My dad's a great guitar player, but he is straight up country. You know, if it's not country music, it is no good. So if he hears anything that I do, he's like, hey, you ain't never going to make a dime off of that. But anyway, my influence they range between Eddie Vedder, Lil Wayne, Chuck D, NWA, Johnny Cash, Randy Travis. I mean, like, I love it all, man. And even also this new stuff, like the new band that's real popular now, the 21 Pilots. Like, I love their stuff. Imagine Dragons were pretty popular, still are. I love their stuff. All the new stuff. I mean, music changes all the time, and right now it's a place to where I think it's all combined. You know, especially if you listen to the popular country music songs these days, they don't really sound like country. It sounds like a mix of rap and rock and
Sure.
a little bit of swing or twang in there. And so, yeah, I think it's all coming together. So in a way, I consider my stuff, I mean, mostly alternative rockish, but I really kind of feel like it's genreless, I like to say. And because I have no boundaries, man. I really would love to, like, do a song, and I've talked to my producer about this, Dale, with the three different verses but the same chorus, something along the lines of music is music to me. But like the first verse, for example, would be hip hop, second verse would be country, and last verse would be like alternative rock. So hopefully in the future we'll get to do a song called Music is Music. Hopefully, we'll see. But because it's changing, it's crazy.
It is evolving, and that actually kind of makes me wonder. I was talking about this with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, being a radio guy. I was like, rock radio is not what it used to be. So here in the DC area, there's DC 101, which is just this legendary rock station, but you turn it on, and it's really nothing like you would expect to hear. It seems like rock radio as we know it has really evolved. I don't want to say it's softer, but it definitely has changed.
I would agree. I think it is softer for sure, man. Because especially compared to the old, I'm a huge fan again of the whole grunge movement. You know, Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam. When I before Pearl Jam, like, I was nothing but rap. But then my brother, and this was in my high school years, back in, I don't know, 90, 91, 92, something like that. And Matt, like, showed me this Pearl Jam album named 10. And I was like, this is so strange, man. Why are you listening to this? Because I was all about Vanilla Ice and Public Enemy. But then the more I listened to it, I started to realize what this guy was talking about and how deep and, like, emotion, how much emotion it had. And I was like, and how much passion was in his voice. And I was like, wow. So I really made that transformation mainly to alternative rock back then in the early '90s. But I still love it all. I still love a lot of rap. But I agree with you, man. It has become a lot softer. The weird EDM sounds that are involved. I mean, some of that's really cool. We've even used some of it on our new album, the band album. But speaking of Spawn of Me, it's actually the song Spawn of Me started back in 2010 when my first daughter was born. I wrote a song for her and it was called Ruby. But then when my second daughter was born, on New Year's Eve last year, I totally rewrote it and kind of made it about both of them. And it also mentions towards that end, the end verse of my guitar player's daughter, Braylon. She's the oldest between our daughters. But we have 3 daughters, and the song Spawn of Me is basically dedicated to them.
6 songs on this release, your solo debut. And a lot of times when a lyricist puts together a song, there's a deep emotional meaning behind it. Is Spawn of Me the deepest for you on this? Do you have the deepest connection to that song?
Well, yeah, probably so, just because it's about my girls, and another song on there that's real powerful and very serious is called Irreversible. And it's basically about my fear of CTE because, it's crazy with the, in the NFL, they take it so seriously these days because you have to. It's so scary what that can do to you in the long run. And with me being a pro wrestler, I know that I've had my share, as far as the diagnosed concussions, only about 2 or 3, but I'm sure there's been a lot more. So, and there's times in the ring when, and it's as simple can be, man. Like if I do a little flat bump and I hit my head real hard, there's like this strange vibration. I'm going, oh my God, did I just have a concussion? And a lot of times it's a deja vu sensation. Like I've been there before and it happens. I mean, from time to time. Luckily it hadn't happened in about 6 months, but like when that does happen, I'm going, holy, shit, what am I getting myself into here? I got to be careful. But man, you can only be so careful, when you're playing in the NFL or when you're a pro wrestler, especially. But thank God they've eliminated things like chair shots to the head, because that was just ridiculous. Because when we first started, man, that's what everybody was taking chair shots to the head, and it was just insane. So yeah, basically Irreversible is about that. And it talks about suicidal thoughts. They haven't got to me yet, and I'll be done in time, all that good stuff. But basically, it's about my fear of developing CTE, and I think you can only be tested for that when you're dead. So that makes it even more scary. So hopefully, I feel really good. My biggest injury is, I broke my leg back in 2015 on my dirt bike because I do motocross as well.
Right.
And that was my first serious injury, and now I got a torn PCL on my knee. And I have to keep it strong 2 to 3 times a week, and I wear a really good brace. So luckily, I'm still able to go in the ring, and I'm going to avoid that surgery for as long as I can.
You talk about the fear of CTE and Irreversible. So when you see something like Daniel Bryan having to retire because of repeated concussions, and then a year earlier, a lot of people aren't talking about this anymore, but the 49ers linebacker, this guy was a rookie, Chris Borland, and he walks away after 1 year because of fear of repeated concussions. I mean, when you hear about that, does that really just strike more of a chord with you and put more of that fear in you, or how do you deal with that?
Well, I've never even heard about the 49er guy. That's the first I've heard about that.
Yeah.
I mainly think of Junior Seau. I used to be a huge Chargers fan, and he was like the linebacker of all linebackers. And when I heard what happened to him, I was like, wow, that is so sad. But even with Daniel Bryan, my wife watches Total Divas or Total Bellas, and I'll watch from time to time, and I just see now what he's going through. And I mean, it's very believable because, he came out there and admitted, he can't wrestle anymore, but he's very grateful for what he's been able to do, and he has done more than a lot of wrestlers will ever do in their careers. But still, when you see how much that guy loves pro wrestling and is now depressed about it, which you can't blame him. I mean, it's sad. It breaks my heart, and at the same time, it scares me because I know I could be in that same boat at any time in the future.
And I don't mean to push, feel free not to answer this, but one of the things that comes with repetitive concussions is depression. You mentioned that obviously you're not suicidal, but have you noticed a mood shift since, you've been diagnosed with those 2 to 3 and you're kind of wondering if you have more?
No, I went through, my biggest like run in with depression was, it's all public. Like I got in trouble back in '09 because I was addicted to, Vicodin. Basically, I ended up getting in trouble for it because I had like way too many and I got arrested. But you know what? All that's over and I'm 6 years, clean now. And, but I think shortly after I got clean, like I felt really good. I was like, wow, what was I doing? Like taking all those pills. I'm so clear-headed now, and I was writing songs better. I was performing better. I was just a better person overall. And then, after my daughter was born, that just changed it even more. But yeah, I ran into it a little bit after that. I guess just maybe like the whole deal of like being addicted for a few years and then like coming off of it and feeling good. And then I started to feel weird and going, oh my gosh. But luckily, I've never had to be on depression medication or anything like that. I've been able to get by, and just now with the second daughter, I mean, that's just made me stronger when it comes to that. But going back to getting in trouble, for addiction, I mean, it's better to get arrested than die. And that's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. Let's steer back toward Spawn of Me here. Let's talk about this album. So 6 tracks on here, and you think, what, that's roughly 40 minutes, 45 minutes of music. But how long was the recording process for you? When did it start? How long did it take?
It basically started, oh my gosh, a while back, probably shortly after my daughter was born last year on New Year's Eve morning. She's about to be 1. So that was probably when I wrote Spawn of Me. And then over time, Dale Oliver from TNA, he does all the theme music for Impact Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
He would just send me tracks that he had laying around, and I would write to him. And it just, I don't know, probably over the course of 6 months, I mean, we probably developed these songs, and I did the demos and then sent them to him. And okay, we like these. We got 6. We're good to go. And then I just went out to his house over one weekend, and we recorded 6 songs in 2 days. And the hardest one was Equivalent, I believe, because the verses are really fast and it was hard to breathe. But that's the one I'm most kind of like, it's okay. I'm not really super happy with it. But and that one like speaks of like me being down on myself and whatnot within the verses. But it's still a good song. But one of my favorites is with the last one we recorded, which is called Oblivious. I had this heavy song with my other band, Peroxygen, and it was called Influential. It went through like all the influences from, I mean, like I said before, everybody from, Eddie Vedder to Lil Wayne to Johnny Cash, and so on. And I mean, it speaks of so many different bands that influenced me over the years. But he said, man, do you think you could sing? It sounded like a real country because there was like a banjo in it, I felt, and it was slow and strange. But he said, you think you can sing Influential to this? And I was like, I don't know, I'll try. So I tried that, and it was just super slow, and I just started hearing these words, man. It's almost like voices that, the music, like, tells me what to write. And I'm sure a lot of other musicians experience the same thing when they're writing songs. Like, when you listen to an instrumental track, you just hear things. And I just started hearing things, and it developed into a super cool song called Oblivious. And again, with my music, a lot of people, they'll ask, what's that song about? And I say, you know what? I'm not really sure. Maybe that's for you to figure out. But I just like it. I'm a fan of, like Scott Weiland, rest his soul, from Stone Temple Pilots. Sure. He passed away a while back, but he was one of my favorites as well. And some of his stuff, it was like, I didn't know what he was talking about. I never could make sense of it. But yeah, I just loved it because it was so smooth and beautiful. So I kind of feel like I've been inspired by him quite a bit as well as far as my writing goes.
But the recording process, 6 songs in 2 days, I mean, those must have been some really long days.
Very long days. I mean, we're talking from, if we get started at 8:30 or 9 in the morning to like, I don't know, if everything's going good to 2 or 3 at night.
Yeah.
It's crazy because, as a vocalist, I mean, naturally, you probably know you got to do it over and over and over again. It's crazy because you double yourself in certain parts, and then you just, oh my gosh, you sing the song so much, and by the time you're done with one day, it's hard to keep your voice, strong. But yeah, we probably, did between like maybe 13 hours that first day, and then maybe finished up the second day in about 10. That's just roughly guessing, but yeah, it took a while, man.
And This is your solo debut. You mentioned being in Peroxygen. So talk to me about the timing of going solo. Did you just kind of feel like it was time to do this?
Well, actually, all my theme music with TNA, I think I've done 7 different theme songs. Like, and the deal with me and Dale and TNA, the agreement was, okay, like, I'll, want to be here if you guys let me do a new song every year at Bound for Glory, because I knew that nobody ever done that. Nobody probably ever will do that, because songs, they become so catchy, and like when the fans hear it, they know it's coming. But that was one thing I wanted to do. So going back to 2010, like when I returned to TNA, we started that, man. It was Modest to begin with, and then it was Another Me. And that was actually the first solo album with Dale. So this is kind of the second one, but the more serious one, I think. So anyway, with that song, it was Modest, Another Me, to Resurrected, to Similar Creatures, to Time and Fate, to Placate, and now it is Obsolete. And I actually wrote a song called Reptilian for my brother and I for a while. We came out to before he dwelled into his broken brilliance. So now he comes out to his wife plays piano beautifully. So, and she actually did a very slow version of Obsolete, mixed with Matt's intro music that we've done some live entrances before. As she's playing the piano, I'll sing the 2 little lines, and we walk to the ring, which is super cool, and which has made me more ready to perform, to get out on a stage and actually start singing some songs.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. I was just going to ask if there was any touring plans in the future.
Yeah, I think we're looking at March. I think I'm doing a wrestling show out somewhere in the Nashville area, and we're going to try to do our first show. And we'll probably play most of the songs off of Spawn and Me, I would imagine. And the Peroxygen, we got 6 more to do for that one. We'll be done hopefully early in 2017, but and that'll be the 3rd Peroxygen album. So there's plenty of material for us to get out there and play shows. And for me, that's ultimately the next step. I'm very confident in the ring because I know I'm great at what I do, but now I need that confidence on stage because it's very intimidating when you watch shows like The Voice or American Idol and you see these talented people and they're just getting booted right and left. I'm going, oh my gosh, what? And there's songs I hear sometimes that I think it's the guy from Disturbed. He sung The Sound of Silence or something. He covered it, and I heard that, and I was going, "Oh my God, I should just quit right now." I mean, because that is so good. But like, I don't think I ever have to be that good because I do have a very good foundation with my fan following, and I think it'll be more like that. People would just want to come see the concert because it's me. I don't think I have to be that great to put on a good show. I think I'll be more like an Alice Cooper type of guy, not a great singer, but a tremendous performer.
Well, brother, I got to tell you, and I'm not blowing smoke here, your album really blew me away. I didn't know quite what to expect, but it was really, really good and honestly deserves to have some commercial airplay, man. So whatever those thoughts are of I'm not that good, you need to put that out of your head, brother, because you are.
Oh, thank you very much, man. And I'm trying to. And I think I'm getting there, man. I think they're half gone. Because as I said, like every indie show we work these days, we pretty much open up our match. Matt will do his thing, his madness of his broken brilliance, and he'll say, "Brother Nero, let our opponents, let them know their fate with a beautiful song of yours." And then I'll go, "They'll fade away and classify themselves as obsolete." And the crowd all just goes, "Obsolete. They'll fade away and classify themselves as obsolete." So they're reacting to it, which makes me more confident that they'll react to all these other songs. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next stage in my life, like literally.
Speaking of TNA and the crowd, you guys have been doing some really creative stuff there. The Deletion series and the Broken Matt Hardy, like all of that. And now Total Nonstop Deletion was filmed down there at your compound in Cameron. So talk to me a little bit about the creative freedom that TNA has given you. Can you see yourself getting that sort of creative freedom anywhere else?
I'm not sure. I think now, as successful as, it all began with the final Deletion, was the first match between Matt and I here on our property. And it was just a huge success. But then once we got back together and I basically earned his respect as the nefarious Brother Nero. We did Delete or Decay out here with that team Decay from TNA, and it turned out we did some amazing stuff there. And then that went on to the Great War at Bound for Glory, which we did some really unique stuff. I mean, and that was one thing. You know, the finish was pretty intense for me, doing a big swanton over a ladder through Crazy Steve, and it knocked me silly. But anyway, the other side of that during that match was I was fighting as another alter ego of mine. Itchweed is basically a comical character, and he found an umbrella and, you know, undid the umbrella into the camera, but then pulled the umbrella back, and it was Willow, another alter ego of mine, and he did the laugh and that. And we were able to sit back and watch that because we had filmed it the night before. And just to hear the crowd go crazy, I was going, man, that is so cool to switch personalities in that manner. So yeah, and now we did the Apocalypto, which will be Total Nonstop Deletion. The whole show is filmed on my property, and it's going to be the funnest wrestling show ever, man. I can guarantee that because we did some wild stuff, and there's going to be matches. They did set up in Matt's huge warehouse that looked just beautiful and unique, and it's just it's one not to be missed for sure. And I don't think we would get that creative liberty anywhere else, but I could be wrong. But as far as I'm concerned right now, I kind of want to stay with something new and fresh instead of going back to something old that I've already been to and, you know, and done a lot for and with. But yeah, man, I don't think we can go wrong with staying with TNA and just seeing where it goes in the future and hopefully make it the best company it possibly can be.
Now, I heard it's been reported that Rock and Roll Express is going to be featured in Apocalypto. True or false?
True. Yeah, that was true. I think the TMZ dude announced that. But, yeah, that was incredible because I love those guys. We've known them for years, and we've always wanted that dream match. And you'll get a little taste of it, but it's still not the dream match that, you know, will ultimately happen in the near future. But yeah, you get a little taste of us wrestling out in the 28-degree weather, and what happens to Ricky Morton is just incredible. I mean, it's just incredible. You have to see it, man.
Okay, so what other surprises are in store? Because when I heard that, I was like, seriously, that's awesome. So who else is on there? Come on, give me one.
There's no other really other than Rock and Roll were the biggest. There's these guys named the Bravados. They're locally and they're really great. They pop up, and that's about it, man. I mean, there's no other huge surprises. It's just Itchweed, my comical alter ego, has his in-ring wrestling debut. That's pretty nuts, and I don't know how it's going to turn out because I haven't seen it yet, but it felt very weird doing it, you know, wrestling as a comical character. But I think it's going to be funny, and I think it'll just show another side of me and hopefully another talent of mine. Then naturally you're going to get all your Jeff Hardy stuff and Matt Hardy stuff in full effect. But yeah, other than Rock and Roll, I think they were the big hit, man. I think they'll steal the show.
Yeah, I think that airs December 15th, so that's definitely a mark your calendar to watch. Now,
For sure.
I do want to touch on this because lots going on in TNA right now. Obviously, the change in management, the courtroom battle, everything playing out literally in front of the public. So what is your take on all of that? You're a talent there, and you hear about all this, and the company's going through it. So how do you feel about everything that's going on there, the changes?
It's very strange. You know, Billy Corgan's a good friend of mine from Smashing Pumpkins, and he loves pro wrestling. And, you know, I understood he was a, you know, huge investor, but evidently he's out now. Mm-hmm. However that happened, you know, they still haven't told us everything, but there's some new kind of management that's coming in, kind of paying people and taking care of things. And I'm not sure what's going to happen or where it's going to go, but I'm just going to have faith in, you know, the company alone, and especially if they build the show around myself and Matt. I don't think they could go wrong with that. That would be the smartest thing to do if we stick around, and you know, which we are, because we've been having a great time doing what we do, and we spoke about that creativity. That's the best.
Sure.
For them, for the management, for the creative team to trust 4 people, actually, myself, Matt, and Jeremy Borash, and Jimmy, I don't know Jimmy's last name, but Jimmy is an amazing camera guy, an amazing editor. He can make things look so real, and I mean, it's just unbelievable what he can do with a camera and behind a computer editing. So for them to trust four guys to just go out there and do what you do, we know it's going to be great. I mean, I can't complain with that. I love that. And that all started with the final deletion because it was just the four of us filming all of that. We brought one referee in, and that was the only other thing. And I think even with music videos, that reminds me again, hopefully on jeffhardybrand.com, we're going to start doing some music videos to some of the songs. And I'll definitely use those guys, pay them, and because I have huge ideas, and I love the idea of being able to do something real cheap, like on a cheap budget, and make it great instead of spending, $1 million to make this crazy, insane video that's off the charts. But I think there's ways, and I have ideas in my head that we can do it cheap, and they can be really mysterious, good, and I mean, breakthrough actually as far as music videos go. So hopefully on jeffhardybrand.com, that'll be coming soon.
Just a couple more questions. You've been really generous with your time. Talk about this new management coming in. Have you gotten a chance to speak with them at all? And are they on board with you and Matt being able to continue to push that creativity?
Yeah, no, I haven't, but we're on the verge of negotiation now. We're supposed to meet with somebody coming up soon before the end of the year. So I don't know if it'll be before Christmas. We should know something soon. So we're supposed to meet with the new higher ups, I guess, pretty soon. And we'll kind of go from there and hopefully work out a great deal and stick around for a while and keep trying to be original. And again, try to make TNA the best it can be.
When is your current deal up?
February 28th, and I think Matt's is around that same time. So we're kind of on the same terms when it comes to that.
Okay. Just a couple more quick ones. Your relationship with Dixie Carter, we've heard, and I've spoken to a number of other wrestlers who said that they were very much kept in the dark, and sometimes she was communicative, other times she wasn't. How would you say your relationship was with her?
Oh, great. I love Dixie. I mean, she's always been super good to me. I mean, when we worked out our deal back in it was 2012, I mean, she was very kind and generous. I mean, worked out a great deal, took care of me. And so I really had, I mean, it was, you can't pass down a great offer, So yeah, she's always been great to me. And I know there's certain things they can't say. I mean, I don't expect them to tell us everything. I'm just happy to, be getting paid and have a good job and to be able to support my family. I don't complain about much at all unless it's, something extremely rude or, deviant towards me. But, yeah, I have no complaints whatsoever with TNA. I mean, they've been great. I mean, they've paid me, I have no complaints whatsoever about Dixie. I love her family and, they love us. But, as far as her future goes with the company, I'm not sure. I hope she's able to stick around in some manner, but I just don't know. It's out of my hands, it's out of my control, and I just hope they stay above water.
Cool. Well, let's circle back and end this thing on a high note. So you talked about doing a new theme every year for Bound for Glory, but has anyone else in the locker room approached you about doing their music?
No, not really, but actually, the first even thing close to that was with Jeff Jarrett. We're very good friends, and he runs Global Force Wrestling. And one of his guys uses a song off our last band album called Obtuse. And I was very honored for that because he heard and he was like, "Wow, you've got a lot better, man. Could we use one of our guys the song Obtuse?" And I said, "Oh, well, of course. Hell yeah, of course." You can use it. And I actually went to a Global Force show back before I was able to wrestle, and because my leg was still hurting real bad, but I did a little interview, and I was actually able to see the guy come out to my song, and that was pretty cool to witness for the first time. So, yeah, that's the only other person that's used, and I think that was Gabriel. Gosh, I forget his first name, but something Gabriel. He used to be in WWE, but now he's with Global Force still. And super talented guy. He skydives and does all kinds of crazy moves in the ring and comes out to my song.
Yeah, is he the South African guy?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I want to say,
I want to say Peter. I know it's
is
not
it
Peter.
PJ Black? Is that something like that?
PJ Black. Yes,
Yeah.
that's his new name. Yeah. I
Okay.
think Gabriel might have been his WWE deal. Yeah,
Yeah.
PJ Black.
Okay.
He's a super cool dude, and I don't know him very well, but like every time I've met him, he's been super cool. And he showed me videos of him skydiving and stuff. I was going, wow, oh God, you are. They say I'm crazy. Come on.
Last
Gosh.
question, man. When all of that is said and done, is music something that you're going to pursue full time?
For sure. Hopefully that's going to work out. 'Cause I've invested a lot of myself and a lot of money actually into recording music, and if I don't succeed in it, my wife's going to kill me, basically. Because I mean, I know I can't wrestle forever, but if there comes a time when I can, when I start doing, shows on the road or small tours, playing music, I would still like to wrestle every now and then for as long as I can, because I'm always going to love it. And that's just a fact. I mean, it's in my blood, and it'll never be out. And when the day comes that I can, I'm sure it'll be sad, but hopefully I'll still have that music to hold on to. And another song I forgot to mention on Spawn of Me was Nefarious. I never knew what that word meant until Matt started calling me Nefarious Brother Nero. But then I looked it up, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like a criminal word. This is crazy.
Right?
But I said, I need to write a song about it. My first approach was like, I'm going to write this as like I'm some kind of like terribly bad dude. But I said, I don't need to do that. So that basically turned out really well. It sounds pretty, hard and heavy. And I didn't go to there as far as being criminal. I ended up saying in the end, like, this makes no sense. I make no sense because I shouldn't be calling myself nefarious. But anyway, the song turned out great. And I love that one as well. So Spawn of Me, I'm very proud of that. And I hope all my creatures are too.